Yeah, I can't complain too much, mate. Just going a bit crazy in lockdown, like a lot of people, and just wanting to, I mean, the last gig I went to before lockdown was Winter's End Festival, and
Oh my God, it was so good.
such a great weekend. But to go,
Oh my God, I really enjoyed that because some festivals like you go to and you can't really join in a way, but like they were great, got us to stay overnight. And I just felt like, had a great time on stage, but then had a great time afterwards as well. It was like, yay.
that's what I liked about it. It seemed to be a bit more of like a community festival type thing. Everyone was there for the right reasons. It was just a great show, man.
Yeah, you're right. It was like there was a real sort of like camaraderie, wasn't there? And
No.
people were like talking about coronavirus. And I remember because Carl, the drummer in Diamond Head's like a big mate of mine.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember him coming on the mic because he always does after they finish their set and goes, "Fuck coronavirus, man." I'm just like,
remember that. But I remember sort of like you say, it was rumblings of it, and then I was chatting to Deggy, the bass player from Guerrilla Riot, who I know quite well, and we're joined by Rebecca Downs. How you doing, Rebecca?
I'm good. Lockdown crazy, but I'm okay.
Glad to hear it, mate. As long as you're keeping well, that's the main thing. So on the 9th of April, you're releasing, which will be today when we air this interview, you're releasing your new album, Strip Back, which, as the title indicates, is a much more laid-back acoustic affair than your predecessors. In fact, it's a reimagining of a lot of previous songs, a couple of debuts, but a lot of reimagining.
It is. I'm glad you used the word reimagining because I've been trying to think of another word and I can't think of another word. But yes, you're absolutely right. It's a lot of the songs that we've been playing stream-wise that we've been before coronavirus that we were doing on acoustic shows, and we always thought, oh, I'd love to do like a more chilled out album with these different versions on. Oh, we ain't got the time and blah 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 blah. So as soon as coronavirus hit, we sort of thought, you know what, we could do that. We could do that album. Because Steve Burkett, co-songwriter, he could do it in his home with his studio. I could do it in my home with my little sort of setup with my mic. So it was like, okay, we think we can do this, so we might as well do it.
So was it just you and Steve that were involved in the actual recording process of it then, or was it anyone else?
Apart from one song, Hurts, we would have had the whole band on all of the songs, but basically we had them on one song, which is Hurts, because it was just a nightmare. People have got jobs and you can't really get them to rehearse, obviously, and then some people haven't got recording facilities, so it was like, you know what, let's just leave it at one song. I mean, Steve's amazing, he's done everything else. So it's his son Steve Jr.'s actually mixed it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's really up and coming young producer, really great, and it was great to work with him. So it's been a proper family affair, really.
Yeah, well, it's definitely worked. I mean, obviously we played Blues for Us on the show, first single release off it, and what a great song. I love that. I mean, that's one of the ones that's making its debut, so it's good hearing
it
you.
It is, yeah. I mean, we weren't going to put any originals on it to start with, and then we were doing a live stream gig for the Tuesday Night Music Club, and part of it was like a Q&A, and one, I can't remember who it was, but said, are you going to put any originals on this? And me and Steve just looked at each other and went, that's a good idea, isn't it? Because we've got like hundreds of songs. But these two had stuck out because they were written around like 2 or 3 years ago and just wouldn't fit. They just didn't fit on More Sinner. They wouldn't fit on a band album. They're just not those types of songs. So it was like, you know what? We think those would work, And we just thought it'd be nice to be able to put something a little bit fresh on them. It didn't start out as that, but we just thought it'd be interesting for people to hear it.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it, to have that mix of the reimaginings and then a couple of new songs on there as well. It's cool.
Yeah, I'm really happy with the way it's been received, and I think we probably wouldn't have done it, obviously, if it hadn't have been for lockdown and the state of the world at the moment. So it's kind of like, for it to be received so well as well is just like, it's amazing. It's really picked me up, actually. Yeah. It really has.
That's cool, man. Were there any songs that you wanted to sort of include that didn't work reimagining them for the record? Or
We sort of knew which ones would because we'd been gigging them, and there's some that, I mean, Sailing on a Pool of Tears was a big song for us. It was mixed by the ex-Rolling Stones producer Chris Kimsey. It's been like a bit of a torch song for us,
Yeah.
and the produced version is like, woo, it's like this huge production. So we've always taken that down live, and kind of, it's bizarre really. It's sort of like Steve does it in almost like flamenco style guitar. It's like, but it really works. So yeah, there's been ones tried and failed, but they've been along the line, if you know what I mean.
No, fair play. So are you planning to do any sort of like acoustic, sort of more broken down shows with this, or are you going to go back to full electric with the?
We are back full electric with the gigs that we're organising at the moment, because that's just the way it's going. Gigs being rearranged again from when they were stopped last time. Some festivals have obviously gone back to 2022. If they're indoors, there's a lot of that going to 2022. But we've got some that are on the website already, and a lot that are pretty much just being finalised now, and a lot of quite a few festivals, so outdoor ones. So, the website RebeccaDowns.com is probably changing quite a lot over the next 2 weeks on the tour page, hopefully, fingers crossed.
So what's your first gig back in the live world as well? So you've done a few live stream stuff, but what's the first physical one back?
That's a great question, isn't it? I think it's unannounced, it will probably be a festival followed by another festival. But the ones on the website at the moment, there's one in near my hometown in Dudley, which is the Lamp Tavern, which is actually where we filmed. It's got like a venue at the back. It was where we filmed Basement of My Heart, one of the very first videos that we ever did. And I was just like, let me just check when that is, but I know it's just been moved. 10th of September, we're playing that. And then the 21st of September, we are at the Tuesday Night Music Club down in like Croydon way. Then we go to the 19th of October, the 100 Club in London at the moment. So, but I know, there'll hopefully be some before that, but there'll be festivals. So we'll just, hopefully they'll go ahead, I think we've just, I'm just taking it each day as it comes, I think, and just seeing what happens. And it's been such a roller coaster for everyone. And I'm not, having had a lot of issues where I've had to involve, NHS for my lovely parents over the last sort of 12 months. There's a way bigger picture than, us doing gigs. And so it's, I suppose, because I've had that in my life, it's put a lot of things into perspective, really. And I'm just like, it'd be amazing to get back to gigs. I've been gigging since I was 13 in bands, and I've never had a break, you know what I mean? So it's like my arms have been cut off, but there is a bigger picture, and, there's amazing people out there, like, saving people's lives. So if it has to be postponed again, it has to be postponed, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is that thing, isn't it? Like, both my mum and my sister work in the care profession, so seeing what they've been going through and everything, it's
God bless them.
Yeah. So it's and then my mum caught coronavirus first time round.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, that was pretty scary. I'll be honest, at that point, like anyone, I suppose, who's not been directly involved in it or not have to worry about things, it's easy to sort of brush it off and say, well, we're going to the board and all that. But my mum, I'm sure she won't mind me saying, but she had a stroke when I was 16, 17. So although she's okay now, and you wouldn't know if you were ever to meet her, she was all sort of already on the sort of slightly more vulnerable side of things anyway. And then to watch her go through that, I was like, because my dad's not about anymore, he passed away a few years ago. So it was a scary few weeks for me and my sister. So
and how is she now?
She's fine now. Yeah, she's all right. She got through it. She came back the other side of it. She's back to work, back to caring, back to doing what she does.
Oh my God, what an angel.
Yeah, she doesn't think about anyone but herself.
Can you give her my utmost love? And I just think, people who are in the care profession, especially, you know, but and you know, NHS, but you know, carers do so much amazing work, and obviously I'm experiencing this, you know, firsthand now, and I just, you know, couldn't be more grateful to those people, and I think that's what puts it into perspective, you know. And obviously, yeah, gigs are important, of course they are, but you've got these amazing people going out literally saving people's lives, and you've just got to get things sort of chilled out, haven't you, in your brain, and just think, you know, it'll come back and it will be what it be, but everyone's got to be safe.
Like you say, it'll come back, and you know there is that bigger picture. And we was talking about this when I was chatting to Toby Jepson of Wayward Sons a few months ago, and we were sort of thinking, like, you know, when it does come back, I don't think you're going to get any gigs midweek on a Tuesday anymore when everyone goes, oh well, I got work in the morning, or I can't be bothered. It's just going to, I think, well, fingers crossed anyway. If you're not realised what you've missed in live music, and not just live music, but the arts in general, these last sort of 12 months, 18 months, I think you're missing the point, really. But
well, I really hope so, because I think actually, you know, if that is the case, it probably, you know, has given live music a big jolt that it needed, you know, because it was kind of on its knees apart from arenas.
Yeah.
So, and even bands that, you know, look like they're doing pretty well are still on a knife edge when it comes to actually making money off touring. So fingers crossed, maybe it gives the industry a bit of a kick in the right direction, and theatre, and, you know, gets people supporting, and maybe not sitting in front of the telly so much. We've all had a lot of that, haven't we? Maybe just going out and buying a ticket to see a band they've never seen before. Well, you know, what's not to like, man, you know?
Just a live experience that, you know, like you say, we've been deprived of the last year or so. So fingers crossed, like I say, I'll give everyone that kick in the backside about it. So.
Absolutely.
Going back to the album itself, though, how did the recording process work with it? Were you and Steve able to record together, or did you have to do the parts separately and then sort of?
It was a bit of both, really, because there was a bit of lockdown where we could be together.
Yeah.
And we're actually part of a limited company, that's Rebecca Downs Music Limited. So we sort of had it as, you know, well, we actually worked together. But then there came a point where you just thought, this just ain't right. So we did a few bits together. Mainly he did all the instrumentals on his own. And I did some singing with him, but quite a few times we'd just open a video call, and I'd set up my recording, and he'd sort of listen as I'm recording. And because we do get, you know, we do bat things around quite a lot, so that was really helpful to be able to still do that, you know, because sometimes when he's singing alone, it's just like you can get lost in your own head, you know, you sort of forget what sounds good, and you forget what you're meant to be doing. It's like you sort of overthink it. So it's good to have somebody on the other end going, don't do that, do that. Yeah. So, you know.
I was going to ask how that works. Obviously, you and Steve work really well together and write constantly together. So obviously you are, like you say, batting ideas back and forth and tweaking things as you jam it out and whatever. Now that would have worked, sort of being isolated from one another.
We've never really, we haven't stopped really over any of the lockdown. Doesn't matter when we could get together or not. We've still been, I mean, we work every week different ways. So like sometimes I'll come up with an idea, I send it to him, sometimes vice versa. And sometimes we write completely together. So we've never stopped. And actually we've pretty much written the next studio album, and we might have something in the interim to come out in between that and this. Oh, wow. We sort of got a second wind, really. Yeah. You know, it was just like, you know, well, we've sort of written that now, so let's do this. It's like, all right then, you know. So we'll just see where that goes, really. But it's it's kept me going all the way through. I don't know what I'd do without it. I mean, he's my brother, you know, he's more family than, I haven't got any brothers or sisters, and he's like pretty much my brother. Yeah. And it's the whole thing's just kept me going. If I hadn't have been able to write with him still, I don't know. I think I probably would have gone crazy, actually.
So is this the next album then? Is that back to be a more full out rock?
No, we don't know at the moment, because we've got this little thing that we're doing that might be more of a raw thing. I'm a big fan of Aerosmith, and Yeah, brother. Loving that, loving that.
Speaking my language, Rebecca. Speaking
He
my
just showed me a tattoo, so but yeah, so I mean that Nine Lives album that they did,
first album, first tour I ever saw. My dad took me.
Mine too.
First tour I saw, my dad took me. I was 11 years old, and he took me to Wembley Stadium.
Oh.
So when they saw when it was the Toxic Twin Tower Balls tour that show they did, and there was them and Lenny Kravitz and Black Crows,
Oh my days.
Phonics and Three Colours Red. I walked in this little shy 11-year-old kid and walked out going, "Dad, where's your record collection?" You know, just.
Your dad's quite cool, then, isn't he? Yeah, he was amazing, an amazing father, clearly.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that was my, but when they did that album, it kind of like, because of the way that they recorded it, they got fed up of like the overproduction. They just went in and like, let's put some, let's just play it. Yeah. So I just kind of feel like maybe want to do something like that. And we've been writing around that. So maybe an EP, I don't know. Or maybe it'll even turn into an album, I don't know. I know we've got the massive studio production album written.
Yeah.
I just feel like doing something like that.
Yeah.
Just something really raw, really just, of the moment. Again, something that is totally the products of lockdown, of missing that band live, really heartfelt experience, so...
Some of those like albums that have that raw sound, they just don't get wrong. I like big production albums, and when you get those anthems on them are fantastic. But equally, some of the raw albums where they have just gone and just bashed it out live, you get that bit of magic captured in there, and I think sometimes they can be all the better for it.
Yeah, I mean, again, More Sinner Than Saint was, oh my God, we had amazing producers working on that. Bill Drescher in the States, who's like. I remember being in his studio surrounded by like, I don't know, hundreds of gold discs, and you just think, oh, Jesus, this guy's great. And, just it sounding like, I remember crying when he played me his version of More Sinner Than Saint, because it was like, that's what I always wanted it to sound like. Oh my God, how did you know that? And then, but as you say, it's like, I do have a real love. I have a real love of live albums as well. Yeah. So it's like maybe... Again, something we've never done, and I just feel maybe bringing the connection with the band together a bit. I don't know. We're going to see where it goes, but I'd be really, really up for doing that, and we've kind of sculpted some songs around that. So
that's cool.
Fingers crossed we can all get into a studio and do it.
It's like trying to capture that lightning in the bottle, though, isn't it? It's not easy to do, but when bands do manage it, it does.
Absolutely. And I've got a great, lineup. I've got great musicians. I'm back with my old drummer. We used to be in a band together when we were like 17, 18, 19. Neil Ablard, Vince Yarrington on bass, who Steve, they were in a signed band with. He was in a signed band with Steve years ago. Got Nigel Darville on keys sometimes. Either or with a guy called Aidan Goldstraw, and they're just amazing people, and you just think, oh, let's just get together and throw down some stuff.
It's got to be. You can see how much you're looking forward to it, mate, so I hope that comes off for you.
Fingers crossed, and it's about, I love the people I work with, and I love the people that have been in the band and that have moved on. It's like an ethereal place in time.
Yeah.
And you connect them with that music, with the times that you spent together. It doesn't matter that they've moved on, or because people have families, life changes.
Yeah, of course.
But it's it's like I've got a real love for everyone I've worked with at different levels, obviously. But it's just, So I've really missed them. Really missed them.
So I think there's a bond there when you're playing and writing music with each other, and there's bands out there that you can tell don't get on. You can see it on stage. You can see it on stage, and you can spot it a mile off. Yeah. And then you get bands where people say, oh, well, they don't get on, and you watch them live. Because there's go back to Aerosmith, there's always stuff in the press, oh, Joe Perry and Steven Tyler arguing again. And then you go watch him, and you can see Steven Tyler just watching Joe Perry play going, you sexy mother.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, isn't it? It's exactly the same thing. Some tours, they were like separate dressing rooms, didn't even speak to each other, but on stage it's a different matter. So it's like it transcends, doesn't it? And it's great to see.
It is when you see people, especially like bands like Aerosmith who've been doing it for 50 years and 40 years and the rest of it, and you still see them go on stage and you're like, they're still loving it. They don't need to do it.
He's one of my all-time favorite frontmen. I mean, he's relentless.
Oh, yeah.
How much energy has that dude got? I mean, he's relentless. And what I love about him, I loved about the same about Freddie Mercury, is just that they're just this huge performer.
Oh, yeah.
They come on stage and they're just everywhere at the same time, aren't they? They're just such a big presence. And
it's like I was watching them at Download one year, and he came, and only Steven Tyler could have got away with this outfit, possibly Freddie, but I would think he came on in a white suit and a big Indian headdress. Now, anyone else who would have worn that would have looked like a complete idiot, but he came on stage and he went, "Yep."
Yeah, Steven Tyler, and he's wearing an Indian headdress. That's fine. Please continue, Steven.
Yeah, it's like that's fine. But what I love about Steven, he still goes off and does stuff that he wants. Like he appeared on the Cadillac 3 album. His solo album that he did, We're All Somebody from Somewhere, went and did like a country thing, and that was fantastic.
An amazing voice as well. Like I'm a vocal coach as well, and
of course, yeah.
People sort of say, "Oh, can you get?" How do they do that? And you think, okay, well, where do you want to start? Because there's a lot going on there. Like there's a lot to learn. And it's always, people don't really say him in that sort of they don't put him in that sort of massive voice sort of place, but he has got an amazing voice and amazing range.
You've only got what's the dream on, haven't you, really, to prove that point?
Yeah, I mean, he's amazing, but live as well, faultless.
Oh, yeah.
Mesmerizing, and and I've seen a lot of bands who are big bands who just don't do that. They don't catch you. You go and see them, and you're just like, oh, that was a bit sort of mediocre. They were phoning it in. It felt like they weren't really there. You see somebody like him, and he's living that moment.
Oh, he means every single note is meant.
Absolutely.
And that goes back to what we were saying about the passion being more important than necessarily being bang on technically. You go see some bands live, and the passion is always what's showing through for me. Don't get me wrong, there's some technical players out there that I love, but when a music's got as much soul in it like that, and like yourself, I mean, the first time I saw you was supporting Magnum. We went to see you.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was the first time I caught you. And obviously, no disrespect, but I hadn't heard you before, so I didn't know any of your songs, but it was the soul in your music that shone through for me and made me go, wow, I'm going over to the merch store and I'm going to go buy an album because this was brilliant. So
thank you so much. That means a lot, because it's like, it is like the only thing that it's always been number one. Yeah. Music's always number one, but in every form. I don't know about you, but when when I was growing up, you get your CD and you'd because you couldn't just access music that quickly. So you'd save up, you'd get your CD and the listening would be, you'd listen to it end to end, this new album. I was saying this to some of my students, reading all the lyrics as you listened and reading all the sleeve notes. It was like this complete consumption into the music that you'd bought. But nowadays, I don't know whether that's kind of the same sometimes for the kids growing up. It's a little bit less intense. No, maybe it isn't for some. I don't know.
I don't know. I think it depends on the person, obviously. But me and my mates were talking about this, and we were saying, obviously, like yourself, we come from the CD generation, and it's listening from then. And now, don't get me wrong, streaming has good points. It's a lot easier for me to listen to something streaming when I'm in the gym or if I'm out for a run than it is.
Absolutely.
Obviously, you can't go to the gym with a record player under your arm. So, I'm not saying it doesn't have its points, but equally, there's songs in an album, because there's songs in an album that aren't the singles, but they're important in the album.
Very.
And you listen to it from start to end. There's songs I've listened and someone's gone, oh, that's a cool song, I really like it in the album. I've gone, I don't get it. And then I've listened to the album, and within the context of the album, in the order it's supposed to be in, it works, and it's a complete, you hear it in a different light.
And it's it's an entire body of work for a reason. Exactly. And they're not just, from my point of view, they're not just songs flung together for no apparent reason. You know, they are
The whole structure, isn't it?
a work and the thought process that goes into the track listing, and then knowing that everyone's just going to put it on shuffle. But me and Steve still, you know, anguish over, oh, should that really be number 3? And he's just like, but does it really matter anymore?
It matters to you, and that's what
It matters to us. So there you go.
So what are the plans for you guys for the rest of the year then, other than obviously getting back to touring?
And well, hopefully, you know, more gigs than we've got listed at the moment, because I say there's a lot just being finalized right at this time. Hopefully something after the Strip Back album. I'm going to push for it to be so, but as I say, something maybe a little bit more raw and a little bit more cutting. And I think, well, we'll continue to write. I mean, we just write all the time. It's what we do. So so for now, I think that'll probably take us up till about Christmas, I think, if we've got all that going on. So hopefully that'll be it for that.
PJ and Pack, mate.
Fingers crossed.
So are there any songs on the album in terms of reimagination side of things that people won't have heard obviously yet, but that you're particularly looking forward to hearing people's response to?
I'd really like to hear people's response to More Sinner Than Saint, which is completely, I think it's probably the one that's most changed.
Okay.
It did change when we were playing it acoustically, but then it changed a bit more when we were kind of recording it. So it'd be interesting to know what people think of that. It almost sounds like Americana. It's like done a 180, you know. And I just like people to let us know what they think of, you know, the 2 original tracks as definitely. And I hope they, you know, we've never done an album like this, but I've always really adored doing acoustic shows. It's a completely different vibe, but lovely for the vibe that it is, and it's really intimate. And I think hopefully we've captured the intimacy, I hope, you know, with the way that we've recorded the vocal, and sort of, so fingers crossed that's the vibe that comes across, and be up to them which track they like, I guess.
Yeah. Well, at the beginning of the interview, we're going to play Blues for Us, but what song of ours or yours would you like us to play at the end of the interview?
Off the new album.
Totally up to you.
Probably, I tell you what, play Sailing on a Pool of Tears, just because it's it's a 180 version, and it'd be, you know, be interesting to hear people's views on that.
Okay, cool. We'll go there. Well, cheers for your time, Rebecca. It's been awesome to talk to you again.
And you, absolutely awesome.
All right, take care of yourself, mate.
And you. Bye. Bye.